Okay. So we've been talking about a Great Commission, which we all know. It said, go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you. And lo, I'm with you even to the end of the age. So we talk about PAGAF. This is the mission of PAGAF, the Pacific Ghanaian Adventist Fellowship. The mission is to facilitate the proclamation of the everlasting gospel in the context of the three angels' messages to all people in the Pacific region of North America, with special emphasis on people and communities of Ghanaian origin or nationality. That's the mission. So we just tied it to what we said. So the vision, how are we going to do this? This is to empower churches, groups, and individuals. So it's not about just churches. It's about individuals through various biblical, educational, socioeconomic programs to positively impact their personal and spiritual growth. So who can be? So this is when I came in, and we said, okay, we have the mission but we want something specific that is going to be our focus for the next 1 year. What are we going to focus on? And that's how we came up with the theme, Called to Serve. And so when we say called to serve, God has called us to serve. And so what is our response? Which is, Hineni, here I am. So this is a complete availability. If you read about Moses when God called him. Now, how many of you that when you're driving the freeway and you see the cars slowing down and the cars are bunched up on the other direction, what do you think happened on the other side? An accident. How many of you kind of peers to see where you can see what's going on? So that's what God did to Moses. If you read the burning bush, was there any reason for it? Not really. It is when Moses went there to check out what was going on that God said, now I got your attention. Now I got work for you to do. Read the story, you see. And then when God said, I got work to do, Moses gave every excuse in the book, including the fact that I can't speak very well. And if you read it in the book of Acts, it said Moses was educated in all the wisdom of Egypt, and he was great in speech. He gave every excuse. Eventually, one of the questions that God asked him, what is that in your hand? And he says, a rock. God told him, put it down, turn it into a snake. After making all the excuses, at some point he ran out of excuse. So he goes to the father-in-law and said, I got to go. I got work that I need to do. And if you read very carefully, it says that, and Moses took the rod of God. Wait a minute. Now you read through this. Did God give Moses a rod? No. It's that rod that he was carrying at the point when he committed himself to do God's work. Guess what? That rod became God's rod. Everything is about him. So that is what Hineni means, that we have made ourselves complete, that no matter where we are, the area be no, as I said last night, all the successes that we have, those are fringe benefits. The main point is God has called us to work for him wherever we are. So, again, Moses said, God told Abraham, what did God tell him? Go to the land that I will show you. He did not know where he was going. And when he was going, he didn't go by himself. He took his whole family. So now here is what Haggai, when, I'll give you a little more history a little bit. But if you look at the membership, that comes from where PAGAF started. This is started in 2009, that time frame. And so you were thinking about individuals that were here in the Pacific and in the Western U.S. We're not talking about churches. So when you look at it, so when they talk about PAGAF membership, who can be a member of PAGAF when we write the Constitution? It could be people in the church. It could be people, individuals. Because it be our But we still wanted you to be part of it because we want you to be doing God's work. That was the whole purpose that I explained. So we said, okay, we talk about Ghanaian committee. So if you have membership, what if so be Ghanaian, the person not a Ghanaian, how would they fit it? Are we going to have first class PAGAF members again? And eventually the wisdom of God that no. Anybody who wants to do God's work, guess what? We are all equal. So that is what that first part is that there's only one level of membership. So every person who is part of PAGAF. And then so we then went to definitions trying to say, okay, it could be a local church or company, fellowship, some group of people that get them together. A congregation, they can be part of it. It could be individuals that are of Ghanaian origin, or maybe they're related to Ghanaians by marriage, whatever. Or it could be anybody. As long as you're a Seventh-day Adventist from any part of the world that wants to support the work that we're trying to do, can be part of it. So every one of those people are all members of PAGAF. So that's why we come to PAGAF is you, PAGAF is me. That everybody who is interested in doing the work, you're part of it. Right? That's the bottom line. So it's not about a group of churches that you can't boom in the air. It's anybody who is committed to follow the mission. So right now we have congregations. We got Austin, which is a new group that is starting out there. I was there last month. Bay Area, in the Oakland Bay Area. We got Berrien, which is in Olinda. We got Fresno. We got Houston. Lifehouse, which is in Denver, LA, Oklahoma City, Phoenix, Riverside, and Seattle. And then we have what I call PAGAF at large. So all those people, like for example, my cousin used to be in Phoenix. He's been in Roswell, New Mexico. He's a pharmacist over there. No, how many Ghanaians are in Roswell, New Mexico? But he is still part of PAGAF. Okay, so if you look around PAGAF, there are all kinds of activities that take place. And I kind of listed a few of them: PAGAF for Prayer, Sounds of Hope LA, children's birthday programs, and and then the young people at Riverside did a program. There are lessons from their musical program, evangelism program, youth program, all these different programs, all this taking place. The women's ministry, a lot of the health stuff that they bringing up, very, very helpful to us. And then, so if you look at the leadership of PAGAF, you have the officers, those who have been selected to lead the various departments. So, and then you have the executive committee. The executive committee actually includes all the PAGAF officers, plus the first elder of every congregation. And the church has a pastor or Bible worker is also, because we wanted to make sure that what are discussed, that you have a communication, complete communication. Because one of the issues we were getting was, and in this case, I saw a leader or executive committee, and I tell people, so what's this one? Because both of them are members of the executive committee. We have delegates, so we're going to be going to leadership meeting, conference in Oklahoma City. So every congregation sends a delegate. And so, for example, if we for selecting new officers, the delegates who vote for the nominating committee to select new leaders. So we got the elders of the different congregations, the pastors and the Bible workers. So all these are all leaders in PAGAF. So if you look at the PAGAF officers, you got president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. I think there are two treasurers. The treasurer and associate are from here, Seattle. So we got the media and communication, evangelism, youth ministry. We got our elder here. So he's Austin, every place. We try to find people from different churches or universities. So Seattle, you're actually well represented in the officers club. And all these different positions have associates. Some of them have multiple associates working on there. So we're trying to cover as many areas as possible. So, people ask, okay, where did PAGAF come from? Well, where it all started. So just to give you a brief history so that at least you know where it came from and why we do things probably the way that we do things here. So Elder Opoku Boateng, who's in Fresno, he spent all his life in the U.S. here, and mostly Fresno. He noticed that, a few Ghanaians were moving here on the West Coast, particularly California, individuals. And sometimes people get here and they get lost. Because you're Seventh-day Adventist in Ghana, you come here, you go to a white church or black church, you don't fit in. Or because of other activities, work, all those things, you start kind of disappearing. And then we have some that then move to other Ghanaian churches, etc. It would be a good way to at least get people connected. So Ghanaians, because sometimes it can be isolating. And I told them, I came here in 1981. I came to the U.S. in 81. I was in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, I said there were 2.5 Ghanaian families there. Here's what I mean. You had Dr. Fojo and his family. Right? And my brother, the first Dr. Okrah, who actually was a year behind Dr. Fojo at Oakwood. So when Dr. Fojo, he went to dental school, and my brother went to medical school. And then he ended up doing his residency at the University of Tennessee, where Dr. Fojo had trained as an oral surgeon. And they married 2 sisters. And then there was another Ghanaian family where the wife was a Ghanaian and married an American. So that's the Ghanaian community that you have. And it hasn't changed that much even since then. So I was there for about 2.5 years. Then I went to Alabama, went to Tuskegee, Alabama. How many Ghanaians were there? I met a few Ghanaians. There was one of our professors in mechanical engineering. Actually, he went to MIT, he went to secondary college in Ghana. Which funny thing was that my cousin had taught him in secondary school. So you see all the connections that happen. So then I left there and came to Stanford. You know, how many Ghanaians were there? Not that many. And that's where I met Dr. Clark. But the funny thing, I did not know Dr. Clark was Adventist because he was attending Palo Alto Church and I went to San Diego Church. And so PAGAF is what actually reconnected us. And so the funny thing is that one night, as I I sent a picture to him. He got that, Mr. Clark got it on her phone. Because there was a picture of the 2 of them at an event with one of the Ghanaian students. I think he was in business school, was graduating. We had a party for him. And I took a picture of Dr. Clark from about 1990. So you see these connections. So I did not know many people, but how do I stay in it? And the people ask me all the time. And this is before the age of cell phones and emails and all these. At that time, the way you communicated with people got us write emails. You have to get that email. Not let them have the envelope on the email. You write every tiny little space. See, you fold it and it took. We age ourselves, right? At the age, so it takes about a month to get back to. And so it is not uncommon for you to feel isolated. So it took a lot to be able to engage in the church, and as a graduate student, I have a lot that I need to do. So what do I do? But again, we kind of continue. So the whole thing was to bring Ghanaians together. This, maybe every once in a while, maybe we all can get together. Ghanaians are on the. And so they, in the actually it was 2008, where he got students who had Riverside. And there were a few people in the Bay Area. He got them together to have a worship service in Fresno. And that's when they started thinking, hey, if we could have regular fellowships, that'd probably be a good thing. And so the thinking came that, okay, let's get a few people together to organize a fellowship, try to find as many Ghanaian Adventists in the Western U.S. as possible so that we can have a fellowship and see what do we do from there. So we got a few people together. And then they organized the first gathering in Phoenix in 2009. That was the very first one in Phoenix. And so when you look through that, in terms of what I call the pioneer, the people that got together, tried to get something going, you see the Vugu Boateng, Dr. Fojo, Dr. Clark, Dr. Eboa, the Okrah, and so those were people that, so everybody knows somebody. In fact, that was when the Okrah had recently moved to Phoenix from Columbus. And so you had people kind of talking, and they organized the very the very first retreat, which was Labor Day weekend. And so what happened was that when they were getting together and they're trying to get a hotel where we meet, you go to the hotel organization, they ask them, what's the name of the organization? So they had to quickly come up with a name. So they sat down and they came up with Pacific Ghanaian Adventist Fellowship. And in fact, they needed an address. So they had just moved to Phoenix. So he called me up and said, can we use your home address? Because I was one of the longest people who had lived in Phoenix for a long time. So they used my address. So in fact, then end up even applying for the nonprofit. So it is not unusual if you're able to go and find some old PAGAF papers, tax filings, etc., and you see my address on them. So again, it's individuals that realize that we need to get there. What are we going to do? So we had the first one, and they had attendees. Like I said, I was brought in as the retreat was. That's when I found out about it, and he wanted me to speak there, talk about education and stuff. We had so here's have a few pictures that I've taken from there. So Dr. Pipim was the guest speaker. The theme was Faith of Our Fathers, and the only congregation that was, you could say, was organized was Dallas. So you see, they have their choir robes, so they drove from Dallas here. So you had a bunch of individuals. And when the meeting happened in Phoenix, in the discussion, they said, well, let's make this organization permanent. And let's find a way to try to get people together at least once a year. And so they appointed Dr. Clark as the interim chair. And so with that, they have to put together papers. So things that you have to work on is to create a constitution. And if you create an organization to do work, you need some kind of. And so, okay, well, why don't we make a nonprofit corporation? So apply for 501c, because keep in mind, this doesn't fit into the Adventist church structure. So you couldn't use the Seventh-day Adventist structure system to do this organization. You're trying to create something. And that's why it has a different status, a nonprofit corporation. That's what happened. So the first, what I call the first leadership conference in February 2010, that, okay, let's put together some constitutions. We got a bunch of people together. Now, there were no pastors around here, and some of the pastors back east, the Ghanaian pastors, when they were sure whatever, so they were not participating in any of this stuff. But fortunately, Pastor Bediako, he was the General Conference Secretary at the time. He had a meeting in Loma Linda, and of course most of us knew him way back when, so we convinced him to join us that weekend as we were putting the document together. So we stayed up all night trying to put this Constitution together and to a structure in place for that. And so that's what we did. So you see the people who had gathered there in the conference room at a hotel in Phoenix. And so we had a second retreat. So now we have organization together. We will approve the Constitution. We have Pastor Kwabena Donko came in there. And then, so because we have a Constitution and the group accepted the Constitution, now we can have real leaders. And so that's what you see the first leaders that were picked. And we selected Dr. Fojo and Dr. Clark to lead the organization. So then things started happening. So the group started getting together. Phoenix organized a group as a church. And then one of the highlights was in March 2012, the leadership conference. We invited the North American Division president, Elder Jackson. And he accepted to come. And that was when we were organizing the Houston church. And so he came there with his wife. It was there all day. In fact, you see her. And the outfit she got from the Ghanaian church in Toronto, because he was originally from Canada, the Jackson. And so he came. All people were very surprised that how you, a small group, were able to get a North American Division president, and it wasn't even their retreat. He was at the whole week. Well, so we just asked him. And he said yes. So he came, spent the whole day there. So since then, we kind of continue, and we had leadership conference. So the leadership conference is really to bring the leaders of PAGAF and all the different churches together, and delegates, to think about things, to plan like this one we're going to have in 2 weeks. we're going to be learning a lot of things, mostly to help to train us to share information, share ideas, and sometimes we take care of organization, business stuff there too. And then the retreat is our camp meeting that everybody come together for worship and company, enjoying each other and all those things. And so that happens every year. So since I came in, of course, I was visiting churches, ever since that, right from the very beginning, I said, this is a great organization. I want to get involved in. In fact, I was at a church, and I will not name the church, and then somebody was complaining about something. So, you PAGAF leaders. And so I asked the lady, can you define a PAGAF leader for me? So she said, I said, well, I don't hold any position in PAGAF. I'm a floor member just like you. It's just that I think that this is God's work that we're trying to do, and I'm involved in it. He said, well, but you attend all the meetings, the leaderships. I said, yes, I do. I pay my way to God because I believe that's important. And so that is what I do. Again, so when I came here, I said, well, one time I said, well, let me go visit all the churches because I had promised every church I had gone to before COVID, I promised I would come back. And so I got a sequence, and then COVID happened. And all those things happened, so it was a point to take advantage to go visit churches. So I started visiting churches right from the get-go. Actually, Riverside, I had already scheduled to go there before I was selected, before I was even called. So I've been to most of the congregation, and this weekend I'm here in Seattle. And then the next one is Oklahoma City, where I was going to be there for the leadership meeting, and then Fresno, probably end of March. So they're talking about having the program that I said, okay, I will come. So we want to get engaged because this is a work that all of us are doing together. It's not like, when I tell people that, look at this way, PAGAF is not some entity that is sitting somewhere. Because as I showed you, the structure is all of us. All of us, whether it's a congregation, whether it's an individual, whatever, everybody. And we have people who actually participate, do a lot of things, who are not even in the Western U.S. I mean, Dr. Ford was the president. He lives in Memphis, Tennessee. That's what, but again, come back to the work that we're doing. Our mission. We proclaim God's work. Okay? And we have been called to serve. And so how do we work? So this is just to give you a highlight how PAGAF works. We have leadership. So we have officers meetings, so those of us who have been selected for different positions. And then we have the executive committee, which I said that includes the officers plus first elders and pastors and Bible workers of all the different congregations together. We have the leadership conference. I said one is coming up in about 2 weeks. We have different evangelism events. Different churches do different evangelism. One thing we're talking about is having pastoral support for congregations who don't, the congregations that don't have like a pastor serving there, to have the pastor be able to go visit them regularly. And then visits for all of us, all the leaders. In fact, when we got together for the departmental program that we put stuff together, every department within PAGAF had to come up with a plan, a program. What are the things that you want to do this year? And so every whether it's the ministerial department, youth department, finance, everybody has something they want to do, women's ministry. And one of the things that we asked everybody to include is some visits, some travel, that to be able to, there may be a church that is doing a program and you want to go and support them, or you just want to go visit there to be able to do that. And that is why I decided my first thing I wanted to at least go visit everyone, get time to see everyone. So we have that as a detailed programs and budget that we present to the PAGAF Executive Committee that they approved. We just need the money to be able to fund everything that we say we want to do. So we also need you to help us to do that. We have joint services, joint things that we do, like PAGAF at prayer every Thursday evening. We have the PAGAF White Worship, which is every quarter that we do. There's special programs. Maybe there's a church that is doing a program, and then we all can tune in to listen and participate. Some that the women's ministry or men's ministry, youth program, music, like the Sounds of Hope in L.A., if I was there for that one. And then we have the big event, the PAGAP retreat, which is our camp meeting coming up that happens in July. And we have special programs like children's birthdays. We have youth programs, ministry. We have music, different music programs. The 10 Days of Prayer, where different churches did theirs. I was able to join yours a couple of times. That was very helpful. In fact, most of the churches did it at the same time, but I was able to attend quite a few of them because, Houston is a different time zone, and then you got Phoenix, and then Denver, and then you had at that time you had the Fresno, Fresno, Bay Area, and LA did theirs together. So we'll go to some of that, and then Riverside did theirs, and then yours were shifted, I think, about a week later. So that also helps us. So again, different things that are happening. There's also a financial support, because part of the work is that we want to support that work is going on. And you cannot do God's work without money. So one of the things that we voted for and we have implemented was to be able to contribute $3,000 to every congregation that gets a new pastor Bible worker. It doesn't have to be somebody officially appointed by the conference, but somebody who is working with one of our churches. And we actually gave out 3 of them this year, 3 churches, and at AJF, Remy, Bay Area, Denver, and Seattle. We gave funds to the church to help support the person who has dedicated to come and help the work. And something that we also said is that for all the pastors and Bible workers within PAGAF congregations, every year we'll give the church $1,000, because maybe certain incidentals, something to help out. And also we have $1,000 for every church that is, if you put together an evangelism program, that you can make a request to PAGAF. Last year was $500, and this year we increased it to $1,000. So we have budgeted. We hope that every church will take advantage of it. So I think within the budget we have $11,000 for at least every church to do at least one. And then another thing, that for baptism, for every baptism, you get $50, and not just to bribe you to get more baptism, but but the point is that when you baptize, every church, when somebody is baptized, usually you have a gift that you give to them, a Bible, books, and stuff like that. So we want to be able to help out with that sort of thing. There are other things that are going on, and then of course we have the funeral fund, which is for churches that are participating. Most of PAGAF congregations are participating in it. That if a member dies, we give the church $12,000 to help with the funeral expenses. So let's go back to where we all started. It is our mission that God gave us, Jesus gave us to what? Go therefore and make disciples. So all we're trying to do is to make disciples. Go and tell the story of Jesus. That's what we're about. And so at this point, what I'm saying is that we want to make it real, our mission and our theme. So that's the end of my presentation. Any question, discussion, contributions, etc. All right. Let's see. Can I stop this? How do I? Okay, so the floor is yours. Something that I said that's not clear, something that explanation, some ideas that you have to help us to be able to grow and do more things. Anything, I'm here for you. I know how much time we got. Okay.
First question is, Seattle. Okay. So Seattle is the furthest church away from, I call the churches in the southern belt, Phoenix, Riverside, Fresno, and we have churches along that kind of southern belt of the West United States. And Seattle is probably one of the furthest churches away. So it sometimes leaves us feeling a little isolated. We do hear of events in Pagaf, sometimes in person, and the financial restraints that our distance prevents us from being there in person. So my question really, and especially also during the retreat or camp meeting, I think Seattle has to travel the furthest, irrespective of where we're going. We typically have to travel Houston? Okay. So my question is, are there plans to maybe try and reduce some of that feeling, or even provide us with some, potentially moving the camp meeting to a closer location in the future? What are your plans for Seattle, or for churches like Seattle?
So if you look at it, in fact, even starting out, in fact, that was one of the things that I had to explain to some of our friends back east, because I was at First Ghana in New York, and I was going to Northern Virginia. It's about 4 hours. So 4 hours, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Maryland, D.C., and Virginia. And I told somebody that, for 4 hours of driving from Phoenix, I had barely crossed into California. They couldn't believe it. I said, this is the distance that we're dealing with. So it is a big challenge that, everything on the West is so big, so vast, so spaced out. So, in fact, when we started meeting, so when PAGAF started, one of the ideas was that the retreat was to go from place to place. At least the leadership meeting, one of the things that we did for the leadership meeting was that, like a church that is starting out or new, or a place where we want to do something, we're going to go over there and at least meet with the people there. That was the purpose of the leadership meeting. And the retreat was to go from place to place. So when it started out, the first day was in Phoenix, and it went to Dallas, into Riverside, went to Bay Area. So that was initially the plan, but then people said, why don't we find a central location, which is very difficult, really, in the Western U.S. to do a central location. And so Flagstaff became the central location, which was, when you compare where Houston is, and even Bay Area is still quite a distance, look at the West. So the challenge is there. The challenge is, how do you, all these places that are so far out, how do you get all this engaged? Of course, you can use technology to help out. The problem is that sometimes you need to get together with people, to see people. Some of the things that we have talked about in the past is that the churches that travel the most distance, if there's some financial incentive that we can give them to kind of subsidize, their travel. But again, as I said, everything we have to come with money. So that's also why we need everybody to at least put something in the kitty so that we can help those things. So I think that because we don't have a whole lot of people that say, okay, we got a whole bunch of churches here in the Pacific Northwest. Why don't we just group them together and then they can do things together? We don't have that. But we still need to connect. So we need to be very creative in ways that we can help to each of us be able to get together. And so some of the things that helped to bring us together was, for example, the PAGAF-wide worship that we do every quarter. It helps us to find out what's going on. At least all of us get together, get to see it. A lot of people turn their camera off, but at least we know that you're there. So that helps. And then the retreat, since it's once a year, we're trying to remind people that start planning early. So Susukura na abatode abwa, then try to do that. So we got to train. To start planning for it. And if we do that, so if we commit that we want to do that, we can do that. I think that all of us can help support. As I said, some of the things that I think that as officers, as a committee, what are the things that we can do to bring those things together? But when you talk about a central location, try to do the So Salt Lake City. It didn't matter, right? Uh, yes, somehow. 11 hours. Yeah, I think that the reason why they actually picked Flagstaff was also because it's a couple hours or so from Phoenix. So if somebody needs to go over there to do some things, that it will be easier to be able to do so. So you take all these things into consideration. So I think that at we can start discussing the central location again. And then also not only even the distance, but you also have to look at if people have to fly. What's the closest airport? Salt Lake City got a very nice airport. I've gone through there a few times, but how is it to get around? So all these things are things that are important that we need to consider. How do we connect? How do we grow? So your point is well taken. And maybe next year we'll come to Seattle. After we go to Houston, is Seattle next? I mean, like I said, that's how we started wanting to do. And then people said, well, let's find a central location. But after we went to a central location for a few times, we said, okay, let's go back to going to different places. And I would say that even though we've been to Seattle for a couple of leadership conferences, it's not the same as a retreat. And it's a very wonderful city. And so I will vote for Seattle for 2025. So you all come on down to Houston, and then we'll come to Seattle from one end to the other. I think that Phoenix is probably going to be last because they had the first three, and then all this stuff. So, yeah, your point is taken. So keep reminding us that Seattle is next. AJ.
Let somebody else go.
Well, mine is just a little bit kind of going back to the funds that you said that maybe we can contribute, because whatever that you do or wherever that you put this meeting at is going to be always difficult for some people. So I think, I'll recommend that if we can have a way of having kind of support, financially, for people that are going to be travel from that distance into the meeting, that will be really helpful. Because if you look at it, somebody like me, I just get up and I pack my things and I leave. But somebody like Kwaku, he has 4 kids, and now you have to register, or you have to go through and buy tickets for all those who cannot fly for free, and so then become difficult. Or even pastor, so it becomes a little bit burdensome for such people. So, as we have right now, I see the benevolence, funds that God has provided, and also even the church that, as you mentioned that we were able to give $3,000 to each church, that were able to get a pastor. If we can do that, that will help. Because I remember when I was growing up in Ghana, there are some camp meetings that I couldn't attend. Because one, I was going to school, and I didn't have the money, and my dad was far away. And I didn't want to just stop school, go to him, get the money, come back, and go. And so even there are some people that are in our churches that they are not members, and they also all, that if they can get to those type of things, it will encourage them better. Maybe they are working triple to make, some income. So,
that's a wonderful idea, and I said that we had actually thought about it and considered it, but again, it's a quite idea for and so we need the funds to be able to do that. So, for example, we can think about it and say, okay, just like we do, can we have, say, a fund dedicated for travel, whereby every church contribute a certain amount to it, and then as the executive we can vote that, okay, this year there's a church that's going to travel the furthest, and so let's allocate some funds to them. So that may be something that we need to do. But then again, when those things happen, you see, sometimes one of the things that when it comes to benefits, usually people like the benefits But when it comes to paying for it, it becomes a challenge. So we have to commit ourselves that that is what we want to do. So, and if you start, say, okay, every church put in $100. I'm just, because I like to think about round numbers. So let's suppose, the half of the churches, I'm just going to, half of the churches that are able to put in $100 a month. So you got, say, 6 churches do that. That's $600 a month. Okay? So for a year, that is $7,200. That is money that you could help to give to the church. So $7,200, that means that you can give $100 to 72 people to help reduce their ticket price. And that would be something great, something worthwhile to do. So if you think, and that's a lot of help for people. And it didn't cost us a lot of money to be able to do that. But again, even if it's $50, we have to commit ourselves that we are going to do it because it's important. This is where sometimes the problem happens, that, because then somebody's going to say, well, our church, we got financial. But again, we're helping each other to be able to what? Spread the message. As I said, the jobs that we got, all those that we do, those are fringe benefits of what God has called us to do. Because he said that everything is what? His. Anyway, so when you go to work, it's God's money that he allows you to spend some of it to buy the new tie and the new suit, right?
So I want to give a quick suggestion, because I think a lot of the work that we want to do are led by good intentions, but there are no mechanisms. And what that means is that a lot of the time we will commit verbally to assisting the group, but there's no mechanism to assist people to assist PAGAF. So one recommendation I will make, since the assistant and associate treasurer of PAGAF is sitting right over there, is that maybe the treasury should think of a way for people to make recurring payments, so that I think I tried this a while ago with Elder Kofi Antobam. And we set something up because the PAGAF organization is a 5031C. You can actually do that with all the tax information. What this will enable the group to do is people could, I call it fire and forget. You sign up every month. There's something that's deducted, whether it's $10, $20, or $30, and you don't have to think about it. And it's money that will go towards, for example, whether it's travel, education, whatever it is. But there's a mechanism to ensure that our good intentions don't just stay good intentions.
Okay. Bacho, fatu pepaso, natural fabra. O adiens woka ho. Indi e boss wa na je se wo so. Say on this guy, who basically got treasurer. So I mean, those are some of the. In fact, just to give you some background on some of these things, the PAGAF side, there wasn't any money in the kitty, but we did a lot of things. Like, for example, when we have leadership meeting, one of the earlier ones, we wanted to make sure that there were some young people able to attend. Some of them were students that they could. So some of the leaders actually put money in PAGAF to the treasurer, so the treasurer could buy tickets for those young people to be able to attend the leadership meeting. So these are things that we can do to help us. Like, for example, even if a church is thinking about it, so if we are thinking about it, like, okay, we budget that, okay, from Seattle to Houston, what would be a plane ticket? I don't know, $300, $350, whatever, depends on where you buy. So, okay, so how many people that we are going? Everybody is going. So if you budget it, how much do we need? Now, okay, a dollar here, a dollar there is a lot of money. But if you start say, okay, every month we're going to put $10 in it, whatever, before you know it, you have enough money. And then if we need it, you realize how much support that we need others to help. And so you go to the fund that you're talking about, and we can pull out that fund to help the church that is traveling the farthest. Yeah, so we need to help them. And so what are the things that we can do? Now, talk about fundraising. The officers voted to have some people a committee to start thinking about how we raise funds for PAGAF, and I think that all of them accepted. So these are things that we're going to... So again, we need all those ideas that would help us to be able to accomplish that. And as I say, if we do stuff systematically, $10 here, $20 here, but that will go a long way to help all of us. So I'm just saying that be our committee say, I'm going to commit this. Now, here's something that you can also do. Like the fund that you're talking about, we can have a specific line item that this is something that I feel passionate about, I want to support. And so the money that goes in, the treasurer will mark it specifically for that. And so, like, for example, if we decide to have a fund that the churches are contributing, we say this is funds to help churches to be able to attend the camp meeting and stuff like that. So, you go into that fund to take that money out to do those things. So the inkiniano kumpayo. So again, these are great. This is great. What was that another one? Okay. Anything, like I said, any questions?
Okay, so my other question is around leadership. And one of the things that I've noticed, this is not specific to PAGAF, but even with mature churches, there's always a gap when we have a change of leadership and new people have to take on new roles in the church because they are willing, but sometimes they don't know enough to be effective in that role. And I see PAGAF as an organization that can provide some leadership, not just once a year, but on intermittently through the year. For example, to train deacons, to train or to do leadership training for elders, for women's ministry, for numerous positions in the local church. Because, once again, everything that we do is on a volunteer basis, and there are times where you can see visible gaps when somebody actually wants to serve, but they're not equipped to do so in the role that they are currently serving.
That's one of the reasons why that when we say women's ministry, even though PAGAF has a women ministry leaders, we expect that every church, every congregation should have a person as part of that team. Youth, the same thing. Men's ministry, music, media. Because if all of you that team, so women's ministry, getting together, you can then organize, okay, we want to have training for women's ministry. And not just for those who are currently serving as women's ministry, but what are some of the other people, young ladies, that you could be part of that training. And then you can look around and find somebody who will be capable. It may be somebody even among ourselves who will be capable to train them so that you effect that, get that done. So that you're doing that. So that training that you talking that happens. So if you have a women ministry training, where you have all the women ministry leaders at our congregation, plus up and coming people that could take over all the women in the church. It doesn't have to be all the women and the young ladies in the church. Come together for that training. It is not just benefiting PAGAF in our women ministry program, but also what? All the local churches. The same thing, youth. It will be exactly the same thing. So I'm talking to you now. So you plan a program that, okay, this is what we wanted to do for the youth. So you have all the youth leaders over the congregation. So you are just the planning committee to put together a program, what you want to do, and bringing all these young people to come to that program. You have to hire somebody or bring somebody. I think that as you're talking about, maybe it may not be possible to do that in person. That would be maybe better to do that online. and that is something that you do. Now, and then when we get to the retreat, maybe part of the program there at the retreat for the youth is that we have training there. So it's not like just come to the retreat just to sit there and just listen to sermons. You know, the retreat is supposed to help empower us to go back to our churches to do work effectively. And so that may be we do something online and we do something in person. So you're thinking about that, right? Okay. So that's what we can do that. So in that case, Seattle doesn't have to bring somebody that just train the youth for Seattle. Or Phoenix for Phoenix. But you do that as a group. I think that will be very effective. Thank you. It's the same thing. Camp meeting. Camp meeting is a tree version of retreats. Any ideas? Anything that you thought about? Anything that you think we should be doing or how we should be doing it? Again, as I said, we're all here serving together. In fact, they were talking about elders the other night. There was a older gentleman there that I know. And so talking about elders, what to do. So I asked him, I said, sir, where did you learn to become an elder? So he sat there, thought for a minute. Oh, I said, in Tonso. I knew the answer. But basically, that's where he grew up. So he was talking about as a young boy growing up, seeing all those older. Now, this is a man who is up there in age, about in his 80s. So he's talking about way back when. Seeing others do it. And so that is what we need to do. If I chose school and I'll train as a youth leader. But you learn. You saw somebody do some things, and then you say, okay, I want to try this, I want to do this. That's how we do the work. That's what material reading, all those things. And these are things that we all need to do. So, anybody else? But we now, I didn't know somebody need to say something. I need to say something. The young people. Nobody want to say anything? Somebody's about to, is that a warning sign that we're done? Oh, okay. I just want to know what I'm about to pull off stage. I'm waiting for the little rod that grabs you off the stage and says your time is up. But I mean, this is what I do. That's why I like these forums to come here to. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for this discussion. I've never felt this way about Pagaf, because I moved here. When I moved here, you guys had already done the physical meetings that I think you guys did a meeting here in Seattle. Yes. 2020, yeah. So that meeting was prior to me coming to Washington. So I've never, had this relationship, I don't have that. Yeah, so, thanks for this discussion, it makes me feel like, now I'm part of, and it's not like you guys are on free me or anything, because I feel like, it's like a bunch of elders, smart people, who come together to put something together, and then we do online thing once in a while, and sometimes honestly I don't even join. I just go somewhere, if it's another church, but not right. So yeah, but I didn't. Yeah, but I didn't hear you touch base on the camp meeting. I don't know if I missed anything. But what are we expecting for this camp meeting? My sister is trying to pull me to go to come with her to I think it's in Naxta or whatever it is. So
Yeah, the camp meeting, which we call retreat, is going to be in Houston. It'll be July 9 to 13. Yeah, and then we got the new Pagaf cloth. So you're going to get a shirt. So we're going to dress up. So, the planning is going. So one thing we've done that we're going to have the general, like camp meeting plan, things like the sermons and all that stuff. But we also have asked every ministry to plan what they want to do. So there's going to be a youth program, the things that they want to do there, all the different things. The children's ministry, they plan some things. One of the things that they want to do, they want to go excursion. And there's a lot to see because part of the PAGAF, if you go back and look at the earlier founding papers, one of the areas we want to do is our children and also education. And so, for example, Houston would be a great place to go out exploring. You got the Johnson Space Center there. I want to go there. I've been there before, but I still like to go there to see. Like, for example, when we had the first retreat in Flagstaff, all of us got in the bus and went to Grand Canyon. It was a great day, a great event. So we were learning, bonding, and sharing. So it's not like just only going to sit there and the preacher sitting out front and then preach your ears off from morning to night. We want to be able to do different things. If you have ideas, things that you think you'd like to see, tell your leaders, and we will try to accommodate as much as possible. So it's going to be exciting things there,
I just have a quick follow-up question, maybe just to tap onto his. So in order for a lot of our members to plan, given that Seattle is the furthest away from Houston, when will we get definitive information about pricing, about location for the camp meeting? Because I think it's February and we're going there in July. And so if we don't get the information soon, it's going to be really hard for even us as a family to budget, like how much do we need to invest for the camp meeting?
Yeah. We had a little bit of a challenge, I'll be honest with you, because the Houston group is the one who is doing the location. And initially, there was a university that they had actually worked with when we were going to go there in 2020. And so they were planning on using that same place. Unfortunately, something happened. A lot of the people who were in the office had left. The lady who was in charge went on maternity leave. And so they had to kind of start from scratch trying to find a place. So, in fact, as I'm saying over here, there are a bunch of messages that I have over here about the two places that they have found that they're working on, that they're hoping that in just a matter of days, they will be able to have a contract from them, to be a proposal from them to evaluate what is going to be. So we're in a hard crunch for that. So, in fact, Marcon was working in Houston a week or two ago. So he actually went around with them to go see a couple other universities. Fortunately for us, Houston got a lot of universities, so it was easier to look at other places. So we are very certain, close to being certain, that the July 9 to 13 is going to work. The other possibility would be to move up a week earlier, but that was another place that they found that was suggesting that date, but they were working with a place that will still accommodate us for the. They're also keeping their back pocket. The other university, I think the lady's supposed to come back from maternity leave this month, but we don't want to wait too long. So I'm just hoping that by the end of this coming week, we'll be settled on a decision on a place that we're going, and we have all the budget to do that. It's been a lot of heartache on us trying. Like we need to know the place that we need the place now, but we are confident by the grace of God that something going to work together this week for us to know definitively. Okay, yeah.
one thing that I have, well, thank you for the opportunity to make an input or ask a question. The White Conference, they always have a camp meeting for, I think, about 10 days. Or is it 10 days or 9 days? But, yeah. What happened to ours? It looks like we have 9 to 14th, which is just about 5 days or 4 days. I'm just asking, what happened to ours?
Actually, when we started, it was just a weekend. And then we expanded it so that we can have other activities as part of the program. So it actually has expanded to do that. Now, even, there may come a time that we all will feel that we want more time. That may be the case. But for now, we think that the time that we have is actually pretty good to be able to do the things that we want to do and to be able to get together to learn, to study, to worship, do all those things together. Of course, as we were talking about money, the longer you stay, the more it costs. So we also have to take that into consideration. We don't want to go for a weekend and just come back, but then that's a whole lot of money for a very short time. So I think that we are in a pretty good medium in terms of time right now. But as we go there and we think that we all want to hang out together a lot longer and we all agree to do that, I'm all for it. So.
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned something about the members at large being a different, zone, different areas. Somebody, something like somebody is in Oregon and they want to, be part of PAGAF and all that. Is there, what do you recommend, that they join the church or they be like somebody in Oregon said, okay, I'll bring my membership to maybe Seattle or California, and then that way I can be, or I'll be a member, member at large, and then.
I mean, somebody in Oregon, if the person is a member at a church there, they can participate in their local church, but also participate in the PAGAF activities. Okay? For example, we'll talk about the benevolent fund for the funeral fund. One of the things that we have recommended to people is that you could be, quote-unquote, an affiliate member of a church that you pick. So somebody in Oregon may decide to be an affiliate member of Seattle. So Seattle, probably what you do, I don't know what you'll do here. Most of the churches, they collect a certain amount of money from every member, right? And so that person will pay that amount that you levy, and they essentially become an affiliate member for that particular benefit. You see what I'm saying? So they can do that. In fact, somebody has, even I thought you were going to an idea somebody had broached to me as to, now that we have these online stuff going on, can I live in my little village and have my membership, say, at Seattle, and then I can join the Seattle worship online every Sabbath instead of going to the local church where the people think I'm a stranger every time I show up. Can we do that? So I think that's a very creative way of doing things. But we want you to be engaged, whichever way you want to go at it, to be engaged in the work of the Lord. So yeah, that is possible. So somebody who is in Oregon want to be part of it. I think that and as they grow, they may start a fellowship over there. And that will be a fellowship that you, as Seattle, will be supporting and growing. Like Dr. Fojo said, also, but then quite say, I can't. So that's. for. No, to participate in those, they don't have to. It will be through you. Yeah, so you take that person, and so because if you look at it, if you look at the PAGA benevolent, the way it's working right now, the way the system works, we are relying on the churches. That you tell us that we have this many members, and that's what the assessment come as a result of that. So if somebody passes away, you, the church elders, tell PAGAF that one of our people passed away. And we tell the treasurer to write a check. So because we trust you to do the work. Again, that's how it works. And the other proposal, some people are proposing about changing that whole program, but until that happens, where people are talking about, well, maybe we should go to individual approach, whereby you have individuals sign up and they pay through the church, but at least you know the list of the beneficiaries. That may be something that we may want to consider, because there have been some issues about, numbers not being correct or whatever. So, but that's another. Until then, that's what we do. So it depends on you. So, somebody who wants to be part of it, we can go. Yes, ma'am.
People contributing to PAGAF and supporting. Is there a way, I know there is Zelle, there is the Cash App and all that, but just like we have Adventist giving, is there something like that PAGAF can maybe have so that members can donate through that instead of using Zelle and all that, just to make it easier?
I don't know the answer to that question. Well, can you? On the website. I don't think they have anything set up. Nothing is set up at this point. From the church. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. And that'll be a lot easier to even keep track of it. Yeah. And to do. Yes.
So everyone is like, okay, I'm willing to do that. And just to be broad and say, oh,
yeah.
I just want to raise money for Christ.
Yes. A lot of people like to see. Yeah. And from that setup, what it does for is that just like you have Adventist giving, you can have different accounts that you do. I think most of these online giving, one of the things that is always a concern is the security part of it. And so you want to do it and you want to do it right. But I think something that is well overdue. We got enough smart people here to So let's get it done. As I said, speed it up. Okay, anyone else? I hear you all talking over there. You want to say something? I'm talking about these two back here. You thought I wasn't paying attention. I was paying attention. Do you have a question or a contribution? Well, we all knew. Didn't I see you up front? Didn't I see you're not new? You're part of it.
Yeah,
yes.
So I'm just now joining PAGAF.
You're part of PAGAF.
Yeah.
Oh, you're part of PAGAF. If you're here, you're part of PAGAF. You can actually be both. Actually, we don't have any limitation.
I didn't know that. And then I should have said for if people were online. When we go for, let's say, I'm speaking for children's ministry, we don't have representation from the different churches,
The children's ministry.
for instance, and even youth, and like, how do we get people to participate and buy in? And I mean, is there like just people know exactly what PAGAF is, just like you being here, or what exactly? How can we get people's involvement so that we can make the work, Yes.
I wish I had the answer to that question. Because, see, when we discuss, motivation, so maybe, as you were saying, maybe it depends on what you're trying to do. Maybe people hear about it, they'll be excited about it, want to be part of it. Because in terms of communication, as we were talking about, the highest body of PAGAF to do things is the executive committee, which has every church is represented. And then you have the officers, which not every church is represented necessarily, but it's spread out quite a bit. Almost every church you go to, you're probably going to find one or two persons who are part of the officers. So all of us, as we hear about it, like you're here today, it means that you are recruited to be to tell the story. And so let's do that. Let's call each other the people that you know, like the people that you know in the different churches. That's the reason why getting together is such a good thing. It is. I relationship with them.
I know that
Right. They get together.
We can't. You can't just drive to another church, right? So maybe the churches who are in LA and Riverside and all that, they're able to get together a little bit more often and just have that kind of interaction and encourage each other to come on for PAGAF programming and meetings and stuff like that, so that we can make sure that we all want to learn from each other, and we want to make sure that we are enriching our children or youth or women or whatever, But maybe something to keep us engaged.
Yes. Very good. I think that we are going to try our best, and I think that some of the things that we're going to be talking about at the leadership conference is some of these things. How do we do that? And also get the leaders of these churches that, hey, okay, because sometimes here's something that I know that the women ministry leader was even talking about it. She called the head elder of her church, who is your women ministry leader, and not getting a response. How can I, you see what I'm saying? And in those sort of things, you cannot put that on PAGAF leadership, because this is your church, you're a part of it, and so let's get engaged. And of course, we're going to be talking more about the leadership. And of course, when we get together at the retreat, the camp meeting, that also would be but it would be very helpful to have everybody engaged in terms of planning even activities when we meet, to be able to do that. So this is something that we're probably going to talk more about at the executive meetings, about the church leaders, that they have to be engaged. Again, they're the ones supposed to take the message to the congregation, because sometimes even at the end of the year, when there's a nominating committee, there's changes in because in fact, I think Sister Florence or somebody was telling me that, there was a number that she had somebody that was supposed to be the women ministry leader. So she kept calling, and finally the person called back and said, I'm not the women ministry leader anymore. But she didn't know. You see what I'm saying? We're trying to get the churches that every time, so like every year, when you have nominating committee and everything is settled, send out to the PAGAF secretary. So at least, even when you're creating the WhatsApp groups, that I know the name that I'm supposed to put in there, and then I can then pass the name to the children's leader, the women's ministry, the men's ministry leader, so that those things you can have that effective communication. So all of us need to do better. That's the message I can give. I think that our time is up, right? Well, thank you very much. Every time now, when the light was blinking, I thought I was it, but I wasn't yet. And so I just kept going. Even if I can talk to tomorrow morning.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Okrah. And hang around. Don't go anywhere. Just stand right there. I would like us to say a big amen for Dr. Okrah. Amen. Yes. Give him a round of applause. It takes a lot of heart, dedication, and sacrifice, personal sacrifice to do this. This is not a PAGAF-sponsored trip. And we just want to show you how much we appreciate your love for Seattle, because we know you love Seattle. Yes. He's one of us, and I don't know about that. So Elder George has a little token of our appreciation, just to show you how much we appreciate you spending time to come out here to Seattle. Elder George. Somebody take a picture, please. Somebody grab a phone. Take a picture. Yeah. Let me move out the way. Amen. Amen. Sure. This is a gift that we hope you will use as a reminder to the church. So feel free to open it up and see what we have for you. Okay, someone take a picture, please. Someone take a picture. All right, let me see if I can take one. You look here first. Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
He's moving back.